Number 1. The goal that started the greatest rivalry, 1930. Every World Cup has unforgettable rivalries, but only one truly changed football forever. The very first World Cup final in 1930 wasn't simply a match between Uruguay and Argentina. It was the beginning of a football obsession that would last for generations. More than 90,000 fans packed into Montevideo's Estadio Centenario as two neighboring nations battled for history. The tension became so intense that both teams refused to use the other's football, forcing officials to play the first half with Argentina's ball and the second half with Uruguay's. Argentina led 2-1 at halftime and looked destined to become football's first world champion. But Uruguay stormed back, scoring 3 unanswered goals to win 4-2 and lift the inaugural World Cup trophy. Celebrations erupted across Uruguay, while disappointment consumed Argentina. That single match created one of sport's fiercest international rivalries, inspiring countless legendary encounters over the next century. Every future World Cup meeting between the two nations carried the weight of that historic afternoon, proving that football's greatest rivalries are sometimes born from a single unforgettable game. Number 2. The match that created the red card, 1966. Today, every football fan instantly understands the meaning of a yellow or red card. But before 1966, those cards didn't exist. Referees simply shouted instructions, often in languages the players couldn't understand. The breaking point arrived during the World Cup quarterfinal between England and Argentina. German referee Rudolf Kreitling attempted to send off Argentina captain Antonio Ratin, but the midfielder refused to leave because he genuinely couldn't understand what the referee was saying. Confusion erupted across Wembley Stadium as officials struggled for several minutes before finally escorting him off the pitch. Watching from the stands, English referee Ken Aston realized football needed a universal language that every player could understand instantly. Inspired by traffic lights while driving through London, he proposed yellow for caution and red for dismissal. FIFA accepted the idea, introducing the system at the 1970 World Cup. Since then, yellow and red cards have become one of football's most recognizable symbols, transforming refereeing forever and eliminating the confusion that nearly overshadowed one of the biggest matches in World Cup history. Number 3. Brazil's 1970 team that changed how football was played. Some World Cup winners become champions. Brazil's 1970 team became football's blueprint. Before that tournament, many believed defensive discipline was the safest path to success. Brazil completely destroyed that idea. Led by Pelé, Jairzinho, Tostão, Gerson, and Rivellino, they played with breathtaking movement, creativity, and relentless attacking football. Every player seemed capable of scoring, passing, or creating magic from anywhere on the pitch. Their greatest masterpiece came in the final against Italy, where Brazil dominated 4-1 with one of the greatest team goals ever scored, finished brilliantly by Carlos Alberto after an incredible sequence of perfectly timed passes. Coaches around the world studied every movement from that team, realizing that intelligent positioning, technical quality, and attacking freedom could overwhelm even the strongest defenses. Modern possession football, fluid attacking systems, and the idea that defenders should also build attacks all trace part of their inspiration back to Brazil's unforgettable performance in Mexico. More than 50 years later, many still consider them the greatest international team football has ever seen. Number 4. Maradona's hand of God that changed football history. Few moments have divided football like Diego Maradona's infamous hand of God goal at the 1986 World Cup. In the quarterfinal against England, Maradona leaped alongside goalkeeper Peter Shilton as the ball dropped inside the penalty area. Instead of heading it, he secretly punched it into the net with his left hand. The referee failed to spot the infringement, and the goal stood despite England's furious protests. Just 4 minutes later, Maradona produced the complete opposite, dribbling past half the England team to score what many still call the goal of the century. The contrast between those two goals became football's greatest paradox. One represented cheating, the other pure genius. Together they transformed Maradona into the sport's most controversial icon. The incident sparked endless debates about fairness, officiating, and whether technology should assist referees. Decades later, it remained one of the strongest arguments for introducing video review, proving that a single missed decision could shape football history forever. Number 5. The 1994 tragedy that changed football forever. Not every World Cup changes football because of what happens on the pitch. Sometimes the darkest moments leave the deepest impact. During the 1994 tournament in the United States, Colombian defender Andrés Escobar accidentally diverted the ball into his own net against the host nation. Colombia lost the match and was eliminated far earlier than expected, shocking a country that had entered the competition with enormous expectations. Just days after returning home, Escobar was murdered outside a nightclub in Medellin, a tragedy that stunned the football world. His death forced FIFA, clubs, and national associations to confront the dangerous relationship between football, organized crime, gambling, and extreme fan obsession. Around the world, players received greater security, while campaigns promoting respect and sportsmanship became more prominent than ever before. Escobar's story remains one of football's greatest heartbreaks, reminding everyone that a game should never carry consequences beyond the final whistle. His legacy forever changed how the football community viewed player safety and responsibility. Number 6. Zidane's headbutt that shocked the entire world, 2006. The 2006 World Cup final was supposed to be remembered as the perfect farewell for one of football's greatest artists. Instead, it became unforgettable for an entirely different reason. Zinedine Zidane had already opened the scoring for France with a fearless Panenka penalty against Italy, looking ready to lift the World Cup one final time before retirement. Then, deep into extra time, everything changed. After exchanging words with Marco Materazzi, Zidane suddenly turned and drove his head into the defender's chest, sending him crashing to the ground. Millions watching around the world could hardly believe what they had witnessed. The referee initially missed the incident, but after consulting his assistants, Zidane received a red card and walked off the pitch for the final time as a professional footballer. Italy went on to win the penalty shootout, while images of Zidane passing the World Cup trophy on his lonely walk toward the tunnel became one of the most iconic photographs in sporting history. His emotional outburst showed how one split-second decision could redefine an entire legacy. Number 7. Germany's 7-1 destruction of Brazil. Some defeats are painful, others permanently change a nation's football identity. Brazil entered the 2014 World Cup dreaming of lifting the trophy on home soil, carrying the hopes of more than 200 million people. Even without the injured Neymar, few believed Germany could truly overwhelm the tournament hosts. Instead, football witnessed one of the greatest shocks in history. Germany scored 5 goals in just 29 minutes, leaving Brazilian players, fans, and commentators in complete disbelief. The final score, 7-1, became the heaviest defeat Brazil had ever suffered in a competitive match. Around the world, the result symbolized the end of an era built on individual brilliance and emotional football. Brazilian clubs and youth academies immediately began rethinking how players should be developed, placing greater emphasis on tactical discipline, sports science, and structured coaching. The humiliation became a turning point that reshaped the country's football philosophy. Even today, the numbers 7-1 instantly remind fans of the night one of football's greatest superpowers was forced to reinvent itself from the ground up. Number 8. VAR's first World Cup changed football forever. For more than a century, referees made every decision with only their eyes and instincts. That changed forever at the 2018 World Cup in Russia, where video assistant referee technology made its tournament debut. Suddenly, controversial penalties, offside decisions, and unseen fouls could be reviewed within seconds. Players quickly realized they could no longer rely on grabbing shirts, elbowing opponents, or committing clever fouls away from the referee's view. Several crucial penalties were awarded after video reviews, while goals that would once have stood were correctly ruled out for offside or handball. Although some supporters complained that VAR interrupted the rhythm of matches, others argued it delivered a level of fairness football had never experienced before. Coaches also adapted their tactics, knowing every incident inside the penalty area could be examined repeatedly. Whether loved or hated, VAR fundamentally transformed the way football is played, officiated, and analyzed. The 2018 World Cup marked the beginning of a technological era from which the sport will never return. Number 9. Messi's 2022 triumph ended football's greatest debate. For years, one question dominated football more than any other. Could Lionel Messi complete his career without winning the World Cup? Despite conquering club football, lifting countless trophies, and collecting multiple Ballon d'Or awards, critics always pointed to the missing prize. Qatar 2022 changed everything. Messi delivered one of the greatest individual World Cup campaigns ever seen, scoring in every knockout round and leading Argentina through unforgettable victories. The final against France became an instant classic, with Messi twice putting Argentina ahead, before Kylian Mbappe repeatedly dragged France back into the contest. After one of the greatest finals in football history, Argentina finally triumphed in the penalty shootout. The image of Messi lifting the World Cup trophy instantly became one of the defining photographs in sporting history. It ended decades of debate surrounding his international legacy and completed one of football's greatest careers. More than simply crowning a champion, the 2022 World Cup closed an era, creating a moment that future generations will remember as the night football witnessed the perfect ending to an extraordinary journey. Number 10. The World Cup expanded forever, the birth of the 48-team era. For decades, reaching the World Cup was one of football's hardest achievements. Only 32 nations could qualify, meaning countless talented teams watched from home despite producing world-class players. FIFA believed the tournament had outgrown its traditional format, and after years of debate, the decision was made to expand the competition to 48 teams, beginning with the 2026 World Cup. It was more than just adding extra nations. It completely reshaped international football. More countries suddenly had realistic qualification hopes. Federations invested more heavily in youth development, and emerging football nations gained opportunities that previously seemed impossible. At the same time, critics questioned whether expanding the tournament would reduce its overall quality and create more one-sided matches. Supporters argued the opposite, believing football's biggest stage should represent more of the world. Regardless of which side people supported, the decision marked one of the biggest structural changes in World Cup history. Just as the introduction of red cards, goal line technology, and VAR transformed the game, the 48-team format opened a brand new chapter, one that will define every World Cup for generations to come.